Hello, Internet. Thank you once again for joining me to talk all things vertical drama. Guess what? I found another person to talk to who has been in vertical dramas and wants to share their experience and randomly subject themselves to half an hour to an hour with me. So
Yeah.
thank you. And that is the very lovely, the very wonderful Jordy Tulleners, who is coming to us from Belgium, people, which makes sense if you follow him on Instagram because the handle is that Belgium kid. So there you go.
That's me.
Right, Jordy, over to you. Where were you born and where did you grow up?
I was born and raised in Belgium, a small town called Maasmechelen, which is a small farmer's town. Back in the day, it was used for coal mines, and now it's quite dead, but it's fun to be here because it's so different than Los Angeles. But born and raised in Belgium.
Are you kind of in the centre? Are you near the coast? Do you need France? Do you need
No.
Germany?
So this is Belgium. The coast is up here. My parents live right here on the border of Belgium and the Netherlands. So I'm close to Maastricht, which is the biggest city nearby.
And then this is always the key question to explain, particularly to English and American people who are useless at languages. How many languages do you speak?
Okay, so on my resume, I speak 4 languages, which is Flemish, my native, French, English, fluent, and German.
Yeah.
But the
You
three,
can get by in France and Germany, is what we're saying.
yeah, I could. I could. I feel like I could just be like, hey, where's the bathroom? And be like, yes, that sounds great. Or no, let's not do that. That's as far as that goes.
That's good. That works. That's on the resume.
Thanks. Perfect.
Right. So, what was your favourite things to do when you were growing up? What were you indoors, outdoors, sports?
Outdoors. I love being outdoors. My grandparents had a cafe, and attached to the cafe was a playground, a massive playground with all these fun little toys to play with. But I was always climbing in the trees. I just loved climbing the trees. And so I realized that at a certain age I stopped climbing trees. And whenever I drive by a forest, I'm like, oh damn, that tree looks really nice. I would love to climb that tree. My thing that I did as a kid was just climbing trees. And of course, at a young age, I started playing with little characters, and that's kind of how acting came in. But I'm an outdoors kid.
Awesome. So, how did acting come in? Because it sounds like you were very busy climbing trees.
Yeah.
When did that become part of your life as well?
So I think at a very, very young age, my nanny growing up would later, when I turned like 14, 15, she used to tell me stories about when I was a kid. And she said, you would like put on gloves and say, well, now you're the mayor and I'm the mayor and you are fired and you got to go to work. And then you put on a scarf and you were a different character. And so like you started playing with props and became all these characters, either things that you'd seen on television and just kind of copied, or things that you came up with yourself. And so at a very young age, I started just like playing little characters because I thought it was fun. And then I had a big magic phase in my life where I think Harry Potter was a huge part of that. But I think there was a beautiful moment in my life where I believed that magic was real and I was going to learn how to do it. And so then I became a magician and I followed magic lessons to become a magician. And so at the end of every class, I would say, I love these card tricks. They're really fun. But how do I make myself disappear? How do I levitate? How do I? And so they'd kind of play around with me and say, like, next class, next class.
They knew how to get you to keep coming back, mum and dad to pay.
Honestly. And so once I realized that I was never going to learn how to do it because let's face it, it's not, it's not going to happen. Heartbreaking. But what I realized was that I played into the character of being a magician. And so throughout my entire life, I just really leaned into certain characters and played around with it. And acting naturally became a thing. I started taking acting classes at a young age, perform on stage, which I loved. It was so much fun. It still is so much fun. I do it less in Los Angeles because the theater community, it's there, but it's not as big as it is back here in Belgium. So I miss it. But that's kind of where I guess it all began.
So once you decided that you wanted to do more acting, I guess, just explain to people, what are the opportunities in Belgium and how soon do you then go, I think I need to go to America?
I moved to America when I was 18 or 19.
Wow.
Because my parents live in this very small town. Opportunities are very slim and they reach as far as local community theater, or maybe you become an acting coach. That's kind of really the only path that's out there, unless you break into an audition and you get into a production in Belgium, but there's not many big productions in Belgium. I mean, I look at my peers right now here in Belgium that are phenomenal actors, whether they're musical artists or just theater artists, like it doesn't matter. They're all in this bubble of Belgium where they're teaching classes, where they have a second part-time job sometimes, where they get to audition to be part of an ensemble or play the lead. But I don't really find that a lot of people that want to pursue acting in Belgium can make it their full-time living.
Mm.
And I worked retail 2 years of my life to afford my journey to Los Angeles from 17 into 19. And having
I
done that,
worked retail. I did 18 years.
bless you.
I know. We just have our audience. We need a moment.
Where did you work?
I did bookshops. So theoretically,
That sounds enjoyable, to be honest.
yeah, well, because every time they make it worse, they go, but here's more discount on books. And we're like, all right then, cheaper books. We'll stay. That's what keeps us all hooked. They know where to get us. What did you do?
I worked at Hugo Boss Retail, the clothing shop, which was,
Yeah, that's tough. I did a year in clothing. It's a hard job, people. It's a
I know
hard
how to
job.
fold pants like a pro. I can fold clothing just like so quickly. It's a weird skill. I'll be at a shop and I'm like looking at some jeans and I'm like boom, boom, boom. And store attendants are like, what the was that? But when I was working in retail for 2 years, I realized that that was never going to make me happy because at the same time I was teaching acting classes in Belgium at the local art academy, which was really fun. I so enjoyed it. But I realized that teaching for 6, 7 hours a week did not pay all the bills and wasn't enough. It just
Yeah,
wasn't.
it's not fulfilling what you love, is it?
It wasn't.
Mm.
And so when I was 17, I auditioned to go to a theater school in Maastricht, which is really close to my
Yeah.
hometown. I got through the first round, which was a victory. I got through the second round, which I was amazed with. And then when I got to the third round of auditioning, they had announced only, I think, a total of like 5 people would be admitted to the school from at the time, like 6,000 people or whatever that auditioned. Being 17, I was like, if I'm not in, that's it. Life is over. And I didn't get in. And I got a call from a teacher there. His name is René Lobo, and he has since passed away. And he was such a great person because he was part of the auditioning process. So he was supervising, coaching. But he gave me a call and he said, have you been in love? Have you been heartbroken? Have you been truly scared? Have you traveled the world? Have you lived your life? And I hadn't done any of those things because, again, I'm from this small town. I hadn't really gone anywhere. And his point was acting is drawing from experience. You have none. So what is your plan B? And at the time, I know, which, right, I kind of was like, oh, I mean, he's kind of right. And at the time, my plan B was, let's go to Los Angeles because why not?
Yeah.
Want to go across the world and check it out because I wanted to take an acting workshop out there.
Yeah.
A Meisner acting workshop. And so that was my plan B. And he said, do your plan B, go travel, go to LA. And if you next year still want to come back to the school, come back and do the audition process again. And so I went to LA and did the acting workshop and I fell madly in love with the city. Unbelievable how much I gravitate towards its people, the art, the oddness of it all, the weirdness of it all, and being a part of the industry at large, just feeling like something is happening outside my apartment every single day. That's enough. It makes me so happy. And so I ended up staying in Los Angeles for, at this point, what is it, like 11 years now? Yeah.
I was expecting you to say about 2 or 3 because you look so young.
No, I'm 33.
Okay, people, whatever. Jordy needs an entire side thing about his skincare routine,
Honestly,
his nutrition, how he hydrates, because it's working.
I hydrate constantly.
Right.
It's a big part of it. Sunblock. I have put sunblock on my face since I was 17.
Yeah, I don't know what plan it is, but plan, M or something is definitely the whole YouTube influencer around how I look this good.
But you look great. I don't know, like
I've got grey hair here. Sorry,
so do I. They're like some of it. There's
you don't have grey hair.
I do. I was hanging out with my friends, and they were like, "Oh my, you got gray hair." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm 33. Of course, I got gray hair." Yeah.
LA, just to ask, because obviously I'm talking to you, and I don't think anyone would know that you're not American. How? And I always think that's phenomenal. Like, how do you go from basically being born and raised speaking Flemish and a little bit of French and German to the fact, to the average person, everyone would think you're American? Like, there's nothing. It's amazing.
Good. When I took my first acting classes in LA, my teacher said to me, and you can audition for the foreign exchange student or the guy that just moved here or like the family that is military from Europe and came to America or an elf, like anything with an accent, really.
Yeah.
And so as much as I liked those options, I didn't want to be limited by just being an elf.
Yeah.
I started working on it. I took some dialect classes. I have a wonderful coach still who I sometimes reach out to help me with accents. But I live in America. I
Mm.
speak English every single day. I'm at a point where I dream in English. Being back in Belgium, it takes me a second to translate certain things. I'll be like, oh my God, what is tomato in Dutch? Oh yeah, tomaat. So I got to
Yeah.
constantly translate in my head, and I'm just so used to speaking English now.
It's phenomenal. So once you settled in LA, and also we were moving beyond auditions as the foreign kid, what work were you finding? What was available for a
Um, I
aspiring
s-
young actor in LA?
I started with um, Los Angeles. I started with modeling first. Somehow that was a thing that kind of came to me, and so I started doing little runways and photo shoots and then commercials was a big thing because I started realizing, oh shoot, you can make money doing commercials. Back in Belgium you get like 200 to 500 euros for the day, but in America you could make thousands of dollars doing a Samsung commercial where you would shoot it for a single day. Commercial became my big thing, and then I started doing music videos as well. And at the same time, I started auditioning. But the annoying thing in Los Angeles is to get good auditions, you have to have a good agent. To
Mm.
have a good agent, you have to get an industry referral to that good agency. But you cannot get an industry referral without having done either the bigger work or having that network. So you're
Mm.
kind of stuck in this little compartment that is just, I want to act, but I can't really go where I want to go because I'm limited by my resources. So it's quite complicated. But once I started auditioning, it was student films, it was short movies, it was independent feature films. And I
Mm.
think one of my most favorite projects I've worked on is Monsters of Man. It's an independent feature film by Mark Toya, an Australian director who unfortunately passed away a couple of years ago. But I booked that off of a casting website by myself without an agent. I flew out to Cambodia for 2.5 months, got to shoot out there, which was an amazing experience for this actor that had just moved to Los Angeles. Made some of my best friends on that set. And slowly but surely, I was able to do different auditions at different levels. And to be really honest, I still really enjoy doing independent projects, which is also why I really like doing the verticals because
Mm.
they feel like, and they truly are independent projects. They're not really, but they feel like it. And I like that because everyone on that set, I'm not saying that for bigger productions, this is not the case, but independent projects specifically feel like it's a group effort and we're all holding hands and we know that there's a limited budget and we know that we're just having fun and we're just so, and it sounds so cheesy and so American to say out loud, but we're so blessed. We're so blessed to be doing what we love doing and get paid for it. That's insane that we get paid to do all these really cool things. That's insane. So the road of an actor is the highs are highs, the low are low, because you never really know what's coming next because we're freelance and
Yeah,
we just hope
I love
next.
that. That's such a positive attitude.
Yeah.
I have to ask, because if you look on your IMDb,
Yeah.
you don't just have acting credits, you have all sorts of credits.
Yeah, I do.
I mean, we have additional crew, production department, producer, director, production management. Could you just share a little bit about that and like
Absolutely.
how many skills you have? Because that,
Yeah,
that to me, I'm just like, that's really awesome. That means you can do loads of different things.
Yeah. During the pandemic, one of my friends who's a director reached out and said, hey, listen, I'm working on this reality show called Legendary, which is a ballroom show. We're looking for a PA that can help out with talent. Pandemic is happening. Towards the end of the pandemic, acting was non-existent at the time. Money is still needed because we live in a society where money is relevant. And so when he reached out, I said, absolutely. So I joined him on this production, Legendary, for I think about like a month and a half. And I truly enjoyed being part of a production in a different realm, in a different position. And from that job came the next job and the next job. I started working the Critics' Choice Awards on the red carpet. I got to work the Nickelodeon, Kids' Choice Awards. Got to work on MasterChef USA, MasterChef Junior USA. Next thing you know, I'm working on a Netflix show. Worked on Love is Blind for a couple of seasons, worked on Love Island for a couple of seasons, the US version. And I started appreciating the craft from a different perspective because I was still part of the entertainment industry. And I realized then that it's not about, acting is very much about, look what I can do. Look at me. Look at what I can memorize. Look at this crazy thing I can do, which is so much fun. But to be on the other side and support someone else being in the spotlight is also really fun. I really enjoyed it and I still enjoy it. And it was also, to be really honest, another means of making money. when nothing else was happening, I was so happy I could work as a crew member on all these projects and all these productions. And I still do. So every summer for the past couple of years, I've worked on Love Island USA version. I started as a talent wrangler in that position. I worked my way up to supervising cast producer. So it's really fun to work on all these reality shows. At the same time, I've also been a UPM, a unit production manager on feature films, independent feature films, which is also really fun. And I'm just happy that I get to work with my friends because that's the cool part. You get to work with the people that you love again and again and again and again. To me, another comparison, it's a silly one, but I like to say acting and just being on set is the best parts of high school. It's the lunch breaks. It's the banter between classes.
Yeah.
That is what being on set is like for me. And I love it.
I hope this is all right. We will come to verticals, don't worry. But I just want to ask, because I'm obviously trying to learn all this. What does a unit production manager, it sounds very important. What does that mean that you do day to day?
I would oversee the production movements in regards to making sure that our PAs have catering set up, make sure that we have our permits issued on location, make sure that like our crew knows where to park their cars, make sure everyone has their deal memo, make sure everyone gets paid on time. There's a bunch of things that it encompasses. When you work on independent feature films, you oftentimes have your producer, your line producer, your PM, your production coordinator, all these different roles. But the more independent your production is, the more things you take on as a unit production manager. So you would go from accounting to making sure contracts are in to making sure that there's coffee brewing on set. So it's a whole bunch of things. Communicating to the actors, making sure their rides are picking them up on time and dropping them off on set on time, making sure that no one has any overtime. However, that's more your AD who takes care of all that stuff, but you're assisting each other in those things.
So that's a lot of like trying to have a whole overview. So my question is, when you then go onto set as an actor, is that actually quite nice? Because when you've sort of almost been carrying that much in your head, it's like, oh,
it is. But you
also, one thing than trying to think about all these different things that I'm trying to cover.
You're right. Absolutely. It's really nice. But it also makes me respect them so much more. Having done that job, still doing that job sometimes. I was just on a project and I know I had to sign out at the end of the shoot day. And so our production coordinator was so busy that I could either just walk off set knowing that someone's going to get mad at him later on for not getting my signature, or I could say, hey, do you want me to sign? And so there's small things that you know are happening or about to happen that you can assist each other in, because at the end of the day, it is still a group project. I think it's very wrong for an actor to assume that everyone is catering to you because sure, they need you, but you need everyone else as much as they need you. It's a team effort. But yes, it is very nice to go on set and not have to worry about where people are parking, if you have all the permits, if everyone signed their deal memo. Yes, it's really nice to just focus on the acting.
So as someone who's sort of busy and obviously working and sort of sees everything that's being made, when did you first notice verticals sort of popping in as part of the industry? And what was your initial impression?
About almost 2 years ago, I started seeing the auditions pop up on Actors Access and casting networks, which are two of the bigger casting platforms in the United States. And I didn't really know what to think of it because it would say vertical series, and then it would say, role of Joseph. And Joseph is a billionaire's son who had amnesia and married his mother, but then didn't know it was his mother, and also has 4 cats. And so, like, the role
This could be Shakespeare. That could be Shakespeare. Marry his mum.
Absolutely could be. But I remember seeing just very odd breakdowns compared to the struggling artist in Los Angeles, struggling with whatever it might be. These were just very soap opera-y. So I remember thinking, this is interesting, but I auditioned for it because it sounds like fun. It sounds like fun. And so I started auditioning for them over the past, that's a lie. I started auditioning for them at the beginning of this year, right around before the fires happened in Los Angeles. And that's when I booked my first vertical. But I started seeing it first on the casting platforms. And then slowly but surely, I started seeing it on TikTok, on Instagram. And I remember thinking, is that what I'm auditioning for? Is that what I auditioned for? So putting it all together, I started realizing, oh, this is what a vertical drama is. This is what a vertical looks like. And I really liked it because years ago we had, was it called not Tubi? No, was it called Tubi? Yeah, it was. Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was great. I loved watching stuff on my phone, short episodes. I thought it was great. And I was so sad when it went away that when the verticals popped in, I was like, this is exactly that format, which I really enjoy because when I'm eating lunch and I have 5-10 minutes to scout on some food, I'd like to watch something that is not, I gotta, pause it at 50 minutes and then continue the rest of the show later tonight or tomorrow. Now, if I can watch a whole episode when I'm eating my lunch or when I'm waking up, whatever it is. Great.
Mm.
Love that.
Yeah, I love that. You're the person who watched Quibi. So yes, there you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
We found the viewer.
It's me.
I'm really interested, just because as someone who's got obviously experience with things like Love Island and reality, which is kind of heightened emotions, and the verticals, like, is that too tenuous a link to make, or is there a bit of crossover?
Do you mean in regards to like, do I draw from the experience of reality shows?
Yeah, and I think just that obviously those show. I mean, Love Island is Britain's great gift to the world. That's what
Yeah.
we gave the world. But it's that thing, isn't it? Of it's all about throwing people in intense situations, and it's about basically attractive young people, isn't it? And sort of what happens in the chemistry. And I would say that description is not entirely dissimilar from Verticals.
True. I think it's interesting because when you look at reality television, we see all these heightened emotions. But on the ground, we're filming 24/7 and we only have about like an hour, 2 hours to put everything out into the world. To me, it's so different than a vertical. I can see how there's a link on the outside, but because my experience with these reality people is so different, because to me, they're just regular, normal people that end up falling in love and having emotions and conversations that are then shared with the rest of the world.
Yeah.
While verticals, like I said earlier, the given circumstances are so different, right?
Yeah.
You're growing up as the son of the wealthiest king in the world, but they kicked you out because you were not pretty enough. And now you're this really handsome young man and you're falling in love with this girl, but this girl actually was married out to another prince from a different kingdom. So like those circumstances are so different than Jamie likes Rebecca, but Rebecca cheated on Jamie with, you know what I mean? They're so different. But I can see how, what I'd say is that, and this is so beautifully said by an actress that I worked with in China not too long ago. She said, these crazy emotions that you see in verticals, sometimes life gives you or puts you in circumstances where you have those crazy emotions. When you get mad at like your mom, or you get mad at your dad, or you find out your partner's cheating, like, yeah, you're going kind of fucking crazy. You're kind of like, what the fuck, And that's what happens in these verticals, but just in a very short amount of time, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't make those emotions less real. And I think, again, bringing back reality, what we see does not make those emotions less real. It is still very much that individual experiencing whatever is happening and expressing themselves in a very big way, in a very, very overpowering way. And I think that's so beautiful. I think that's why verticals are also very beautiful, because what I try to do is make those emotions, make those moments as real as possible for that character.
I have to ask about your first one, which I think is My Boss Thinks I'm a Boy. Is that correct?
No, my first one was, oh goodness, because we shot one and then the fires happened. So we discontinued it, which is a shame because I really, really liked it. And I really liked the actors I was working with. Then the second one was, I forgot what it was called, but it's about a woman who is a design queen and she runs her own design studio. And she then gets her work stolen by another design individual in fashion. But her father, the king, is trying to. It's a very complicated story, as you can tell. But that's my first.
The vertical. We won't be able to distill it here. What was your role in that? That's the key thing.
I was Moses. I was Moses, and Moses was the designer who had worked with design queen Alma before. In the story, she is trying to get it going with the main guy in the story, but she's pretending that I'm her husband. And so when he calls out, which is a wonderful scene, when he calls out saying, well, if that's your husband, then why are you basically coming on to me? Then she replies with, we have an open marriage. My character is full-on gay in that story, and he then pretends to have this relationship with this girl. But then I guess he's the prince. The prince then keeps running into me, having all these weird gay moments, like, we're at a gay bar, and he's like, why is your husband there hitting on this guy?
Yeah.
It was really fun to play because the actors were just so much fun, and it was just a really fun project to work on. But that was my first one that was my second one, but my first one.
That's the one that was out. Yeah. Who were your co-stars in that? Who were you married to? Who were you pretend married to?
Casey. Casey, yes.
Yeah,
and
that's all right. I'll know. Yeah.
And Taylor.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Good fun team to work with.
They were awesome.
Really good fun team.
Yeah. It's really interesting because when you go to your next vertical, you expect to have the same chemistry with the people that you worked with before, which is not always the case. Everyone has been phenomenal to work with, but it's always different. But Ben and Casey set a precedent that I now expect on set because we had such a good time. Ben was so chill. Casey was they were so chill and so nice and so welcoming because they were the leads and I just had a couple of days on that shoot. But I felt like I was just part of their club because they were such nice people. Yeah. I
So, of the verticals you've done so far, what's your favorite project?
think my most recent one, I got to play the lead, which I'm very excited about.
Yes!
Yes, I can't tell you much about it because we signed the contract, but I will let you know. I let everyone know when it's out. But it was I think my favorite one. I bonded so much with the actors on set. I got to go to China to film it in China, which is so exciting. I had packed my bags to go to Belgium on December 9th, and casting it reached out on December and saying, hey, we love some of your previous work. Would you be willing to come out to China to shoot this project? And I said, heck yes, let's do it. And so went to China, which was an amazing experience because I'd never been to China before. Got to work with the local crew, got to work with these actors that flew in from the UK and America. So it was just such a fun experience to be in China and work on that vertical and to be honest, to be the lead as well. That was really fun. It's fun to be supporting because you get to play I think when you're supporting, I feel like your character is more crazy, more extravagant. When you're the lead, I feel like you have to try and find the truth in it. I think in the world of being the lead, you're normal, everyone else is kind of crazy. When you're supporting, they're crazy, the lead is normal, right?
Because the obstacle to getting to your happy as a lead is the crazies all around you. Yeah,
exactly. All the villains, all the baddies, all the she cheated on you, he killed my dad. Those are the crazies.
Yeah.
In those stories.
I want to ask a bit about the sets in China because obviously I was told by someone the other day that they have huge soundstage set up and that basically you don't have quite the location hop. Sometimes you can just do a lot all in one place.
I'm more than happy to send you some videos. I took some videos when I was there last week. I was amazed. Having worked in Los Angeles, having been on the Paramount lot, having been on the Warner Brothers lot, having been on those big Hollywood lots and studios and sound stages. When I got to China and they showed us where we were going to be shooting, I was honestly flabbergasted because they had so many sets. You'd walk from an office to a bar to a prison cell to so many sets and the detail, phenomenal. I was blown away how beautiful it was. And then they also had an outdoor lot where one of the streets looked like London and they had a red bus put out there and a telephone booth. And I was like, my God, like this is amazing. It's amazing. So I understand why they're flying people to China to shoot it out there because they have everything. Everything is done. And it's so cool to work on those lots out there and say like, oh, this is the equivalent of like Paramount back at home or Warner Brothers back at home. But yeah, they have them and it's beautiful. And I've only been to Hainan and Sanya, which is an island off the mainland of China. They had a soundstage and an outdoor backlot. But I'm sure that there's different places in China where they also have all those sets set up. Yeah, it's amazing.
Do we know what app it will be on?
I think, God, I don't. I will get back to you on that.
I thought that was the safe question because I can't ask you anything about the story. I can't ask you anything about anyone else who's in it with you, but I could maybe, no, okay.
I can tell you about the other actors. Who else is in it with me?
Who else was in it? Tell me that.
Isabel, I'm really bad with last names. Isabel, give me 1 second. I can tell you right away.
Kerrigan?
Really good question.
I'm going to go through Isabel's that I know.
Isabel Clare.
Isabel Clare, awesome.
She's from the UK. And then there was Liam Silbernagel.
Oh yeah, Liam.
Yeah.
My guess is he was doing bad things. He often does bad things. He's a very good bad
things. Oh my
goodness.
He, on the last shooting day, and I'm sure he wouldn't mind me sharing this, on the last shooting day, we were all just so tired because we were shooting, back to back to back to back. Liam gave it 100% in the very early morning, and he stayed at that high energy until his very last take. Wonderful actor, to the point where the first Eddie was like, hey, don't, we're just doing the establishing shot, preserve your energy. And he's like, no, I'm good. And he was good. And he did it. And he stayed at that level the entire time. And I love him so much. He's so great. I love all of them so much, but he killed it. He really killed it. I'm so excited to see his stuff on the app. I also work with Maud Bonani. Yeah.
Now that's one because you don't know. She could have been doing good things. She could have been doing bad things. So that's not one that we can tell from I love.
I wish I could tell you.
No, you can't tell me. This is the fun. Don't ruin it. But this is what I'm saying. It's interesting as an audience because obviously you can tell me the names and sometimes I can go. And now I'm like, well, I don't know. It could go either way. I've seen her do both. So.
Sure. Well, I hope she surprises you.
Yeah.
She and I had the best laughs on set. The best laughs. There was a moment where at the end of another very long shooting day, there's a moment where she has to cry. And even thinking about it makes me just crack up because we had gotten to the point of being delusional. We could not, like, the emotion was gone. We could not get there anymore. So she, out of the corner of her eye, would look at me, start laughing, and make it look like she's crying. But in the meantime, she's looking at me with this one little, out of this corner of her eye, making me laugh while on screen. So I'm like trying to cry as well. So both of us are just cracking up the entire time. And that's so much fun. Rachel Goodwin is another one that I worked with.
Cool.
Fantastic. Loved her.
Yeah.
She was so great. So professional. I think she's done a bunch of verticals.
She's very experienced in China, I think. So probably that's a really good person to be with if you've not been before. Someone who understands how it all works. Yeah.
Well, so we're sitting in the hair and makeup room, and I'm like, hey, good morning. I'm Jordy. She's like, hi, I'm Rachel. 5 minutes in, she started speaking Mandarin. And I was like, hold up. I'm sorry. Do you speak? She's like, a little bit. I've been here for a while. I was like, okay, that's casual. Not a word. I barely speak French and German, let alone let alone Mandarin. But yeah, she was so cool to work with, so professional. What I learned on this set in China was that the camaraderie with the actors is real. We have each other's backs. We really like bonded, and we really took care of each other. Whether it was a, hey, do you want some water? Hey, are you good? Whatever intimacy scene. Hey, are you comfortable with that? So we would check in with each other. And it showed that the actors that fly in to China have created this beautiful community of trust and vulnerability with each other, which is something that's so new to me because back in LA, everyone just arrives to set and does their own thing because at the end of the day, everyone goes back to their apartment or house in Los Angeles. But in China, we all go back to our hotel rooms, or we go to a shop to buy water and food. So it's this level of support that you feel that I so enjoyed in China for the 7-8 days that I was there for.
Amazing. People have kind of talked about it being almost like camp, that kind of thing. Because, yeah, as you said, you are removed from everything. It's not that, oh, now I'm going back to, my pile of laundry and bills or whatever things you've got responsibilities at home.
Exactly. Liam and Isabel and I, and Maud as well, we all flew in quite late. And when we got to the hotel, none of us were really tired because you're on such a high, right? You came off this like almost 20-hour journey to China. Now you're in this foreign country, in this foreign location. Going to bed is not the first thing you want to do. And so the three of us, I think Maud resigned to her bedroom, but the three of us, Isabel, Liam, and I, we walked into the city and we went to like a night shop and we bought some water and some snacks, and it felt like camp. Yeah. It's like, who are you? Oh, okay, cool. We just met. I didn't know who these people were, but it was so much fun. And we bonded so much to the point where like earlier today, Liam sent me a text saying, hey man, missing you. And I was like, it's so nice. And I hope I get to work with him again in China specifically. It's such a great experience.
Well, it's just lovely hearing you be so happy about it. So I'm going to ask you now, as someone who obviously loves film, TV, acting, just a few favourite movies, TV shows that for you are kind of they're my all times. And that's why I say a few, because you don't have to pick just one.
Okay. Drama, one of my favorites is The Crown. I absolutely loved it. The written dialogue was beautiful. The way it was filmed, the color grading, the acting, everything beautiful. In that same breath, I would say The Handmaid's Tale, also very, very well executed. Loved it. And comedy, I like SNL, Saturday Night Live, a lot, depending on the episode, but I really like watching it weekly if I can. I just finished, what did I finish? American Prime Evil on Netflix with Betty Gilpin, who, funny enough, I saw in February playing Mary in Oh Mary in New York, who did a phenomenal job, but loved American Prime Evil. What am I watching right now? No, I finished everything right now. I finished Boots. I really enjoyed Boots as well. Netflix, I'm sad they're not renewed for a second season. I know the producer on that show, and I was so excited for him to see that it was such a hit. Everyone loved it. So I'm sad to hear that it didn't get renewed. Movies, my favorite movie will forever be Barb and Star Go to Vista Del Mar. It's a comedy. Highly recommend. It's ridiculous, but it's so funny. It's with Kristen Wiig, and she always kills me. Bridesmaids, classic. It's a good one. Christmas movies. Every year, I watch Home Alone, the first one. Love Home Alone. I watch The Sound of Music because I watched it growing up, and so I'll watch it again and again and again. And then horror movies. I'm a big horror movie guy. I love horror movies. Love all the Conjuring movies. Love Hereditary. Loved Weapons. Great movie. And all the Paranormal Activity movies are great too.
I love that. Keep your options open. People cast me and everything.
Honestly, yeah.
I feel like I love it all.
Yeah, I do love it all. I really do. Same with music. People will be like, hey, what's your favorite song? I'm like, I can really go from country to techno to house to Belgian country music. So keep your options open. Enjoy everything.
For that. I just want to say thank you so much for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure, and you're a total superstar. And also just thank you for asking my questions, because I did go off on tangents and you just explained everything beautifully. So thank you.